Hi, good morning everyone. We are back again with another lecture of electromagnetic field theory. So, in today's lecture, we'll discuss about the electric flux. Okay. So, in our last lecture, what we had discussed, it was about electric field. Okay. So, in our last two lecture, in fact, we had discussed about the field, what electric field is, isn't it? What it was? Electric field is defined as the force per unit charge, isn't it? Force divided by the test charge, isn't it? The tangent at that point, isn't it? Remember now? Okay. So the force per unit charge is defined as electric field. So now what is electric flux? So, have you remember the picture which I have compared about the Newtons and Faraday? Uh, According to Newton, if there are two particles which are separated by a distance in a space, so they apply the force on together on each other instantaneously. There is absolute space, there is absolute time, so both those particles, they apply force on each other instantaneously, isn't it? So as the Newton said, the particle that moves in space as time passes attracted by a force instantaneously. Distance could be anything. Okay, it doesn't matter whether they are kept at this distance or this distance or this distance or a distance of light year. But Faraday said no, it cannot happen. I mean, there's no absolute space or there's no absolute time. I mean, how can the particle, I mean, they can apply force instantaneously? There is something. So that guy, that Faraday gave the theory of this change space, and uh, we said it field. I mean, he said if I'm having two particles, suppose these two particles are there and they are applying force on each other, so how they'll apply? I mean, this object will change the space between these two objects, and the changed space will apply force on the other particle or other object. And same as with the other one, this object will apply force through the change space, and this change space is given by the field, is given by the name fields. I mean, it was like you know what we say, it's a spider. Okay, a spider does its job to make its what do we say, uh, jala, isn't it? So it does the same. Okay, so these two charges, as we had discussed in the field, so I'm having, suppose I'm having a positive a positive charge, or I can say it a positive point charge, and I wanted to calculate, or I want to see the field around it. How can I see that? I mean, I'll bring a test charge, and the nature of the test charge is always positive, and it is very, 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 very less than the charge in which we are interested to get the field of it, isn't it? So the force, divide the force by the force applied by this divided by that test charge will say it a field, force per unit charge. Okay, now, so if this charge, if in which we are interested, So if this charge is of positive type, or this charge is having a nature of positive and the test charge is itself a positive charge, so the force will be repulsive force. Both charges are like charges and like charges repel each other. Okay, so as per Coulomb's law, isn't it? That's why we got all the tangent or all the fields that is coming, going away from this positive charge. Okay, as this slide says, in the negative charge, how we will get the direction of the field, electric field, that will be towards the negative charge. Why? Because this is negative and the test charge is positive, though, so the force will be of attraction force, isn't it? That's why all those charges are, and I mean all those lines are, or all those fields are towards negative charge. Okay, so with this, what Faraday does, what Faraday said, they said if we are having both positive and negative charge, so these lines, okay, these lines, what lines? Electric field lines. And electric field line where we had calculated, remember, no, more the magnitude of charge, more will be the field, isn't it? More will be the distance, less will be the field. So what Faraday said if we are having both positive and negative charges, so the field line will start from positive charge and will terminate at negative charge. And that guy, that Faraday, he said all those field lines, all the electric field lines, he renamed as electric flux. Okay, and the bunch of this electric flux, later we termed it as a electric flux tube or something, but the total number of electric lines of force is called electric flux. It's nothing but a electric lines of force, and that is flux. Okay, so as you can see in the slide, in 1837, it was around in 19th century, and here it is written, Michael Faraday performed an experiment on electric field, isn't it? So he said, and he showed, the electric field around a charge can be imagined in terms of presence of lines of force around it, and he suggested that this electric field should be assumed to be composed of very small bunches containing the fixed number of lines of force. And what that bunch is called, it's tube of flux, and the total lines of line of force is called flux, electric flux, as simple as that. Okay, so what will be the unit? Of course, it's a charge. Okay, so unit will be of coulomb. The unit of electric flux will be same as the unit of charge, that is coulomb. Understood? Okay, so now comes to the electric flux density. In 80% cases, no, density means per per unit area. What we are getting per unit area is called that density. Okay, I said it. I'm saying 80%. Don't forget. Okay. Okay. So how we can define this electric flux density? Electric flux per unit area. Okay, I mean what quantity of electric flux we are getting per unit area, that is defined as electric flux density. Okay, but there is a add-on in this. What is it? So we will consider only those flux which will pass normal to the surface area which we are considering. Okay, as you can see in the slide, there are two charges, positive charge and negative charge. Okay, positive charge and negative charge. So the flux will start from positive charge, terminate at negative charge, as we had seen. No, it starts from positive charge, terminate at negative charge. If you want, you can write it. The properties of flux, it generally asked in your mid sam and in your finals also sometimes. You can the property number one, the flux, electric flux starts from positive charge and terminates at negative charge. If negative charge is absent, I mean if we are having only positive charge, then it is considered that negative charge is kept at infinity. That means the flux will terminate at infinity. And if we are having only negative charge, so it is considered that those fluxes, they are coming from infinity and terminate at or negative charge. If both are present, it starts from positive charge, ends at negative charge. Okay, these fluxes cannot cross each other. I mean, they cannot cut each other. Why? Because we do not sketch two tangent at single point. As simple as that. Someone has this question in our doubt clearing session, if I remember. I guess if Swapnil was having that question. So here is the answer. We cannot draw, or we cannot have two tangent at a single point. That's why electric flux cannot cut each other. Okay, so yes, of course. So the we were discussing flux density. So the we'll consider only that area in which the fluxes which are passing, that must pass normal to that surface area. We'll consider only that, those fluxes. Okay, so the total electric fluxes passing through a surface area normally, that is called electric flux density. And if I'm saying it is having a specific direction, that means electric flux density is a vector quantity. Okay, electric flux density is a vector quantity. We have defined the total electric flux passing through the area, unit area, normal to that surface. Okay, it will have a specific direction. That's why it is a vector quantity, and it is denoted by D, and it's a very important universal this letter D defines electric flux density. What will be its unit? Total fluxes passing through unit area. So the unit of flux, what is unit of flux? Coulomb. What is the unit of area? Meter square. So coulomb per meter square. So the unit of electric flux density will be coulomb per meter square. Fine. Okay. So what we'll do? We will calculate the electric flux density due to a point charge. Okay. If you want, you can calculate for any charge distribution. Remember, no, we are having four type of charge distribution: point charge, line charge, surface charge, and volume charge. So take an example. Okay, first of all, what we have to do, suppose a charge is kept, remember this xyz axis. So suppose a point charge is kept of plus q charge. Okay, a point charge having plus q of magnitude, it is kept on imaginary, at imaginary point, at origin point. Okay, so what we'll do, we will assume there is a imaginary sphere of radius r, radius r. Okay, so from this closed sphere, the flux will be, I mean, we are having plus q charge, so the flux will be, the total line of force will be outward. Okay, so the flux will be outward, will take a differential surface area, I mean from a d, sorry, a ds. Okay, so I'm saying the what is, if I'm saying the it is a regular quantity, I mean regular geometry shape of sphere, although it is imaginary, but we can calculate the surface area of it, isn't it? So what is the surface area of a sphere? It is 4 pi r square, isn't it? The total surface area of a sphere will be 4 pi r square. So how we will calculate d? D is total flux passing through the area. So the q divided by 4 pi r square, and the direction will be an. I mean an is the direction. I mean we have taken the thing, the direction which is normal to the surface. Okay, and in a sphere, what direction applies or implies the direction which is normal to that point? It is radial direction, isn't it? If you say the radius of a sphere, that will point out normal, you can take any of the surface area, any point at the surface. Okay, the radial points. That's why the direction will be radial direction. So D will be Q upon 4 pi r square in the direction of radial AR. Okay, unit of course Coulomb per meter square. Never ever forget to mention the unit of any quantity. Okay, whatever you are writing, write it with unit. So Coulomb per meter square for this. Fine. What we did, total flux passing through the surface area. We will get the flux passing through the unit surface area, isn't it? So Q upon 4 pi r square. Now see, we have calculated electric field due to point charge. What it was? Do you remember? The electric field due to point charge. It was Q upon 4 pi epsilon r square in the direction of AR, isn't it? Or if we are saying that this charge is kept in free space or in air, so epsilon becomes epsilon naught, isn't it? Why? Because epsilon r, relative permittivity is 1 for free space or air. So we will see the relationship. So E is E due to point charge is, what is it? Q upon 4 pi epsilon naught r square in the direction of AR, of course in radial direction. And what did we get? D is Q upon 4 pi r square in the direction of AR, relevant, sorry, radial direction. So what, if we'll divide D divided by E, so we will get only epsilon, or epsilon naught, of course for free space. So we'll get the relation D is equal to, I mean the flux density, electric flux density is equal to epsilon naught, that is absolute permittivity multiplied by electric flux density. Remember, this is the one of the most important formula for the whole this field theory. You'll get this relation, and you'll need this relation on a frequent basis. Okay, so do remember this. D is equal to epsilon E, or for a free space D is equal to epsilon naught E. Remember the value of epsilon naught? सबको याद है? It is 8.854 into 10 raised to power minus 12 farad per meter. अभी मैंने कहा never ever forget the unit of it. ठीक है? So the relationship between the flux density, I mean electric flux density and electric field intensity is D is equal to epsilon naught E. Okay? Or the ratio of D to E. I mean it is not right to say this, but okay, D is equal to epsilon E. Okay? And for free space D is equal to epsilon naught E. याद रहेगा सबको अच्छे से? If you are having any doubt in between, you can ask. Okay, this doubt clearing session, it was better than previous one, but still I did not get what I wanted, but that is fine. Gradually we will be more familiar and will get the results. Okay, so understood the relationship between electric flux density and electric field intensity. It is D is equal to epsilon naught E. Okay, what is D? Electric flux density. What is E? Electric field intensity. What is epsilon? It is absolute. No, epsilon is permittivity. Epsilon naught is absolute permittivity. And what is epsilon R? It is relative permittivity. Okay. I mean, as this syllabus will progress, no, you will get more symbols. That's why I said, I mean, don't make cumulative of this. Just watch the video, understand it. What if you're not able to understand, or if you're having any doubts, just do come to me, or you can come with your doubt in the doubt clearing session. Okay. So from this, it comes the Gauss law. Okay. Now, why this? I mean, this Gauss law and all. So when Faraday spoke about the electric flux and electric flux, so what Gauss said, and he extended all those the concept of flux and flux density, and he said any body or any charge, what we can say, we can cover or we can enclose with an imaginary surface. He termed that imaginary surface as Gaussian surface. See, in our previous example, what geometrical shape we had taken? It was a regular sphere. But what Gauss said, you can take any surface, no issue, any irregular or regular, whatever. But that must be a closed surface. Okay, that must be a closed surface. So that surface is called Gaussian surface. So the total flux, what Gauss said, the total flux passing through this closed surface is equal to the charge enclosed by that surface. The simple, what it say? It's whatever charge we are having, whatever charge we have enclosed, so only those fluxes can pass out from that closed surface. As simple as that. So the electric flux passing through any closed surface is equal to the total charge enclosed by that surface. As simple as that. Okay? Understood? Now, as you can see in the figure and in the slide, so we'll take a small surface area ds. Okay? You can see it. And in that surface area, we are having a point P. And this irregular surface, and in this irregular surface, enclosed irregular surface, we are having a charge Q, and this Q charge is enclosed by this irregular surface. Okay, So we will consider only those fluxes for our flux density which is normal to that differential surface, isn't it? So you can see this, we are having an angle theta between D and this AN. Okay, what is AN? AN is the normal unit vector of the differential surface area which we had considered for that closed irregular surface. Okay, now so how we can write the flux associated with differential surface area will be differential flux, isn't it? So how we will write this? dN, that is a normal component of the electric flux density which is passing through that differential surface area, isn't it? And we will resolve this D and this in the direction of AN and normal to the direction, I mean in terms of cosine and sine. With angle term is termed as cosine term, cosine part, and cosine element, and the normal to that, the perpendicular of this will represent the sine of that, isn't it? So we will take only the cosine because this is associated with the normal direction. So that's why dN will be d cos theta. Okay, and the perpendicular of this we will get dN is not dN, it is perpendicular, dP will be d sin theta, but here we are interested in the normal part. So that's why our differential flux will be d cos theta ds, isn't it? So what we will get, d dot ds, a dot b is ab cos theta, as simple as that. So AB cos theta, that means A dot B. Here we can write, if we had this d cos theta ds. So what we can write, d ds cos theta is d dot ds. Just opposite of this, A dot B is equal to AB cos theta. And if we are having AB cos theta, what we can write it? Vector A dot vector B, isn't it? So our differential flux will be d dot ds. Now from differential to total, how we can calculate it? Just integral, make an integral of this. So the total in this is the ds, differential surface area. So the integral will be surface integral, that means double integral. Okay, so the total flux will be the surface integral of d dot ds, isn't it? The total flux from that closed surface, that irregular closed surface, will be surface integral of d dot ds. Okay, and this, as I earlier said, these such type of closed surface over which the integration we will see that will carried out, we will say this surface as Gaussian surface. Okay, so psi we will denote the total flux with psi, and psi will be of surface integral of d dot ds. Okay, of course this flux is termed as the total charge. So charge, that is q. So we can write this surface integral of d dot ds is equal to q, that is charge enclosed. Fine, this is the mathematical representation of Gauss law. Remember what is this? D surface integral of d dot ds is equal to q if it is point charge. Okay, if I am having line charge, what it will be? Rho l dl, in surface line integral of rho l dl. If I am having surface integral of rho s ds. If I am having volume integral of rho v dv. We can take any charge distribution and we can write the mathematical representation of Gauss law as surface integral of d dot ds is equal to q. Understood? Any issue, any problem? Hmm? Okay, now comes to your exercise. So the exercise for today, it will be, okay, do one thing. For exercise, okay, just calculate for today's exercise, just calculate the D electric flux density for line charge and surface charge. Okay, calculate, you can make a note of this, calculate the electric flux density D for a line charge and a surface charge, infinite, you can take infinite line charge and infinite surface charge. Okay, fine. Whatever we had done with the electric field, no, I mean from the Coulomb's law, and later we had seen electric flux and how we calculate the electric flux for various charge distribution. With the Gauss law, we can also do that. The application of Gauss law, we can calculate the electric flux density and electric field intensity for any charge distribution. So for today's exercise, you have to calculate the electric flux density for line charge and infinite line charge, of course, and infinite sheet of charge. Okay. And one more, write the Gaussian mathematical form of Gauss law for all charge distribution. For all charge distribution. Fine. That will be your today's exercise. Fine. So on a summary note, what we had seen today, we have seen the concept of electric flux. What is it? The electric lines of force, isn't it? That starts from positive and terminates or ends at negative charge. Never cut each other. Okay. Then never I said it, never interact each other. Then more electric field, that means more the magnitude of charge. Okay. Then if we are having only positive charge, then it is considered that the flux will terminate at infinity. If we are having only negative charge, it is considered that it is coming from infinity. Then we had discussed Gauss law, that says that total flux enclosed by a closed surface is equal to the charge enclosed by that surface. And the mathematical form of Gauss law is surface integral of d dot ds is equal to q. What is D? It is electric flux density. And you have to do it for, or you have to just write it for all four charge distribution. Fine. So thank you very much. That's it for the day from my side. Keep studying. Happy learning. You're a wonderful audience and wonderful students. So happy learning. I'll see you all in my next lecture. Thank you. Thank you.